Hey everyone, if you're new here, my name's Lottie, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. What we're doing tonight, the reason I'm starting this vlog, is we're gonna read Frankenstein tonight. Basically need to binge read this whole book tonight. Anders isn't home from work yet, so I'm gonna give you the tea. If you're new here, Anders is my boyfriend. We live together in this apartment. Tonight is Thursday night for context. Tomorrow on Friday night, I planned a super secret surprise date night. Anders knows we have surprise date night. He just doesn't know what we're doing. So I got us tickets to go see the new Frankenstein movie. It's only showing at a couple theaters starting tomorrow, and then I wanna say in like early November, it's coming to Netflix. But Anders, I don't think is tracking that like you can go see it in theaters. I pretty much just told him like, oh, it's coming to Netflix in November, like anytime he's asked me, and I don't think he like knows. So that's our date night tomorrow. And the super secret date night, movie night, has just crept up on me, and it's tomorrow night, and lo and behold, I have not read Frankenstein. So we're gonna try to make a lot of progress on this. It would be nice if I could finish it tonight. It is a very short book. To be fair, it's kind of like ye old English though. It's like 225 pages. I feel like we can get pretty far, but this is on Kindle Unlimited, so to be completely honest, I'm gonna read it on my Kindle. And the audiobook is also free on Audible, so I'm probably gonna do like immersive reading tonight. And also just with it being a classic and the language being a little bit more of a different time, I feel like having the audiobook and the Kindle. Also, part of the reason I'm using my Kindle is because I'm annotating the ebook of my Kindle, and then at the end I'm gonna decide if I want to transfer all my annotations over to the physical copy or not. Sometimes it's nice to like annotate digitally and then move it all over later if you decide it was like worth it. Because sometimes, you know, you like are loving a book when you start out and then you're like, it kind of fizzled out and like I wish I hadn't like annotated in the beginning. That's a whole side tangent. All this to say, we're gonna be reading Frankenstein tonight. That is the main goal of the evening. I'm gonna try to be like low key about it so he doesn't know that I'm binging it, because I don't want him to realize anything about tomorrow. He knows that I started it. Part of the reason that this is the super secret date night for Anders is that Frankenstein is like his favorite book ever. So he's super excited that I'm reading it now, and I just thought it'd be fun to go see the movie. I also got us t-shirts. Wait, let me go get them. Okay, I got us these shirts on Etsy to wear to the movie, so I'm gonna surprise him with this when he gets home. This is the shirt I got for Anders. Green is his favorite color, and it has a like outline of a Frankenstein, and it says, "You mean Frankenstein's monster?" Because in Frankenstein, if you've read it, you know, or if you're just familiar with the story, you follow Dr. Frankenstein, who makes a monster. So the monster is not Frankenstein. Anytime we're talking about Frankenstein, Anders is always like Frankenstein's monster. So I thought this would be a fun shirt for him. And then my shirt is Frankenstein's monster, and it just says built different, which I think is so funny. I'm gonna go put these t-shirts away before Anders gets home because I don't want any of the surprise ruined. I'm just gonna take care of a few other housekeeping things, and then we'll settle in for the night. And we're gonna read Frankenstein. Okay, I had dinner, tidied up, did all my little things. Now I'm ready to actually settle in and read. But before we jump in, I wanted to kind of talk to you about the first like section of the book. I've read this twice actually. I'm gonna be so transparent with you guys because this is my first classic I've read all year. And I think for me, this is just my approach. But I basically read the first chapter and I had an idea of what was going on, but at the same time, I didn't, you know? Like I knew what the person was saying, but I was like, who is this person? What is the context? Like, what is going on? So I went and read like a little Cliff's Notes thing for the first 4 letters of the book, because the book starts off with 4 letters of this guy, Walton, writing to his sister. And then you get into chapters from Dr. Frankenstein kind of telling his story. But I was like, who is this guy, Walton? Like, what is he doing? And I didn't want any spoilers. And I feel like Cliff's Notes, Spark Notes, it's great for just like little pieces. So I went and read and I was just like, what is the point of the setup? And then I went through and read the beginning again and I was like, oh, this makes like so much more sense. And I was really, really able to enjoy the writing. So I think that if you want to challenge yourself, whether it's a challenge or not, like if it's not a challenge for you, that's great. But I just think sometimes the way we talk about classics, I just think sometimes some strategies like this can help other types of readers get more interested in works that are from different time periods and maybe written in a way that's more challenging or different to what they're used to. So yeah, I read the first 30 pages like twice, and now I wanted to pause before I go on and just kind of like tell you about my thoughts and feelings. Honestly, so far, I'm loving it. I was not loving it when I read it the first time, but then after getting a sense of what was going on and then reading again, I'm loving it. I was annotating it so much on my Kindle this morning when I was rereading it. I woke up like super early and couldn't go back to sleep, so I was like, let me just reread it, and I'm really glad I did. Ugh, I need to charge my Kindle. Anyway, essentially in the beginning, Walton, he is this, I think he's like 27 or 28. He's like around my age, somewhere in there. I can't quite remember. Young European man, and he's basically going to the North Pole to like figure out if it's inhabitable. Like that's what I'm picking up on. I don't think it really matters. And basically this guy Walton, he's like a scientific explorer basically. So he's going to the North Pole to just kind of like see what's up, like see if there's any opportunity up there, if it's like a portal to another world, if you could live there. That's kind of what I picked up on. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't think that that matters for the point of the book. Essentially, he's just like going up north to the North Pole to explore. And he's writing these letters back to his sister. And just the way that these letters are written, like you can just tell a woman wrote this book. Like, I'm sorry. I love women's brains. They're so smart. But I feel like Walton is both like so relatable and also so out of touch in some of how he's talking to his sister. There are moments of like profound human nature, like feeling lonely. But then there's moments of him being like selfish or kind of like entitled or lazy or like these other things that are also profoundly human. And I found that really interesting. He's someone that I'm like kind of rooting for, but also I have an eye on him. He kind of reminds me almost of like a Nick Carraway character from The Great Gatsby. Like not really, but in terms of like the book being called The Great Gatsby, but you start with Nick Carraway and he ends up kind of like giving you this window into Gatsby. It feels like a similar function, which I know this book was published first. So of course Gatsby could have taken inspiration here, but it feels similar in that like as you're starting the book, you're like, okay, I'm ready to meet Dr. Frankenstein. Like I'm ready to meet Gatsby. And then you meet this other character who is a little bit more of like the narrator, the storyteller. I feel like it kind of worked the same, which I really liked. But with Walton, because he's kind of like a scientific explorer. So he goes to this like really northern town north of London to like stay there for a couple months and like get together people who want to like come on his ship, and he's going to pay them, and he's getting like a crew together to like go sail, which again, like so privileged. Like he's basically like the director. I don't know all the terms. It doesn't matter. So then he ends up sailing. And then when he's up there, some of his men spot this wolf dog creature running on like a sled kind of thing. And he didn't even look human, but then Walton was like, oh, maybe people can live up here. And then the next morning, his ship people find Dr. Frankenstein, and he's like nearly dead, and they bring him, nurse him back to health. And Walton all this time has been like really lonely, which is why he's been writing to his sister. And then that's like the narrative we're getting. And he ends up basically becoming besties with Frankenstein. And Dr. Frankenstein is like, listen, let me warn you, my life is ruined, and let me explain why. And then he's seeing this same like determination and like motivation and need for legacy kind of like from Walton the same way from him. And he's like, let me heed you a warning. And so Walton's like, okay, I'm ready for story time. And that's where we are now. So that's a little bit of the plot synopsis so far. I'm not going to spoil the whole book, but I just feel like things in the first 10% are kind of like fair game. Okay, I did a little bit of research, and it says both the polar regions were still largely unknown, unstudied, and unmapped in 1818 when the book was written. And it happened at a time when polar exploration was taking off in a big way. The hunt for the fabled Northwest Passage, to use an example, was starting to become a big thing. So when Walton says, if I fail, you will see me again soon or never, he means it. He really is saying he might never come back. So yeah, I don't know much about the historical context of like polar exploration. I don't know that it matters to the story that much. I feel like the big thing with Walton so far is like he is very curious, he's very ambitious, but he also is very like self-centered. This is what Walton says about feeling lonely. He says, but I have one want which I have never yet been able to satisfy, and the absence of the object of which I now feel as a most severe evil. I have no friend, Margaret. And then after he meets Dr. Frankenstein and starts talking to him, he says, I said in one of my letters, my dear Margaret, that I should find no friend on the wide ocean. Yet I have found a man who, before his spirit has been broken by misery, I should have been happy to have possessed as the brother of my heart. And then Dr. Frankenstein says, unhappy man, do you share my madness? Having conquered the violence of his feelings, he appeared to despise himself for being the slave of passion. I had determined at one time that the memory of these evils should die with me, but you have won me to alter my determination. You seek for knowledge and wisdom as I once did, and I ardently hope that the gratification of your wishes may not be a serpent to sting you as mine has been. I do not know that the relation of my disasters will be useful to you, yet when I reflect that you are pursuing the same course, exposing yourself to the same dangers which have rendered me what I am, I imagine that you may deduce an apt moral from my tale, one that may direct you if you succeed in your undertaking and console you in case of failure. Nothing can alter my destiny. Listen to my history, and you will perceive how irrevocably it is determined. Onward into chapter 1. So I just really loved the intro. I mean, I know it wasn't an intro, it was like letters, but I really enjoyed the first 4 letters. Now we're going to get into Dr. Frankenstein's probably effed up past, because it has to be, right? He's crazy. So I'm going to sit here, lock in on that. I think that the book is broken up in like 3 parts from here on out. Actually, let me check the table of contents. Okay, on my Kindle, it's just split up as 24 chapters, but in my book, there's like 3 different volumes. So I'll probably try to stop at the end of volume 1 and then check back in then. So that'll get me to page 90. But for now, we're gonna get the cozy vibes going. I'm gonna light a candle. We're gonna do some ambiance. I'm gonna get my headphones. Like, we're gonna get cozy. So that's the vibe tonight. I'll see you once I'm done with part 1. mic is charging, so you're getting camera audio. But look, we have matching books. They're like,
spooky.
They're the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, but they both have like that gold edges. See?
We love that.
So I'm doing Frankenstein and
I'm doing Dracula.
Proper spooky. Proper
Very
fall.
spooky.
All right, let's get back to it then.
Time to get to work.
Time to get to work. Well, I'm reading on my Kindle.
You know.
Why would I not? I like that Dr. Frankenstein at least knows that he's like the worst. Like in all of his reflections, he's like, it was a strong effort of the spirit of good, but it was ineffectual. Destiny was too potent, and her immutable laws had decreed my utter and terrible destruction. Like, he's aware how cooked he is, which I respect. Okay, I have made it to page 91. I'm on to volume 2. So I finished the first volume. So I'm on chapter 9. My Kindle says I'm 40% of the way through the book. Honestly, I was hoping to have made more progress tonight. And I'm gonna go read in bed. Anders is locked in on Dracula. So we'll see how far I can get. I definitely feel like I can finish it tomorrow. I'm trying to collect my thoughts on part 1 though. I feel like we could have like 3-hour book club on this book. Just the timing of reading this science fiction book from 200 years ago and how it really still feels so relevant today. I mean, I'm sure it's always felt relevant, but with generative AI, autonomous AI agents and robots, I just think we're getting closer and closer to recreating life in a way that is very dangerous. And I've also thought a lot about like the atomic bomb while reading this. Obviously, it's not the same thing as creating life. It's more so like creating death. But it's still like this man-made creation of something that we shouldn't have that much power over. And there was a quote in here that made me think of the Oppenheimer movie as well. But this is a quote that really stood out to me. Oh, by the way, Victor. I need to just start calling him Victor. Victor's like kind of low-key married to his cousin, which like I'm not loving, but it is what it is. So he's talking about his cousin Elizabeth, who's like his companion. There's a lot of themes around like control and like possessiveness somewhat in this. It's interesting because Frankenstein talks about how happy his childhood was and that his parents were possessed by the very spirit of kindness and indulgence, but he's not taking any accountability after creating the creature, the monster, to be a parent to it at all. He completely abandons it for like 2 years. One thing about the language, I know my thoughts are all over the place. One thing about the way that it's written and the language is if you're a fan of Hamilton, I would say it has this like kind of similar tone to Hamilton in my head, and like the cadence, the language, the vocab. They're not like singing songs and rapping in Frankenstein like Hamilton, but any of those moments where they are speaking, I don't know, reading a letter, it's very similar to that. And as soon as I kind of like adapted that into my head, because I am a huge Hamilton fan, it made it a lot easier in my head, and it kind of helped me place like when the story was written and what was going on. But pretty soon into the story, he does create the creature, the monster. It doesn't take long for him to bring it to life, and it's very anticlimactic when he realizes that he has discovered how to imbue life into inanimate objects. Basically, he says, how dangerous is the acquirement of knowledge, and how much happier that man is who believes his native town to be the world. He's very into this idea of that a new species would bless me as its creator and source, but he also claims to be an atheist and not be very religious, which honestly kind of makes sense. I think he'd be more contradictory if he was religious. I find it interesting that that was like an exciting thought to him in his frenzy, wanting to create this creature. He said, I seem to have lost all soul or sensation, but for this one pursuit. He was just manic. But yeah, when he brings it to life, it's like it was 1 a.m, the rain pattered on the panes. I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. I was just surprised by like how chill it was when the creature, the monster, came to life. This is probably my favorite quote from part 1. It says, but now that I had finished, the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless horror and disgust filled my heart. And that's what happened here. And that's what made me think about Oppenheimer, because I feel like it's the same sentiment. What have I done? And that line just really sets up the rest of the book. His perspective completely shifts, and immediately he is like this ugly creature. He is very like vain. I think that the thing about the control that I was mentioning, I think once the creature was alive, Frankenstein realized he couldn't control it anymore and then didn't love it anymore. You know, I think he associated connection with control and love with control. And once he he didn't have that power. The love evaporated, the fog lifted, and he was able to really see what was going on. I don't know that he's possible of loving someone or something he doesn't like possess. And that's also from a very young age, something that his parents kind of like put on him, because they basically like adopted this orphan girl. This is like why his wife, not really wife, but like I think lover, is his cousin basically, which she's not his cousin. They adopted this like orphan from Italy, brought her into the family, and his mom basically like gave her to him. And I'm like, this is gross, this is weird, but they're not really related. Like they are, but they're not by blood. So anyway, but his mom was like, she is yours to care for, she's yours to love, like here you go. And that was problematic. And then you can see how that thinking potentially contributed to more of this disordered logic here. So yeah, we're just having book club tonight, guys. I also think a lot of the language that Victor uses around good and bad is very akin to like pretty and ugly, or beautiful and horrendous. Things he thinks are beautiful are good, and then things that he thinks are ugly are bad. So as soon as he realizes that he doesn't love this creature and this fog has lifted, he thinks it's so ugly. And it honestly was kind of funny because he was like obsessed with it, and then he creates it and he's like, oh my God, it's so ugly. But then Victor's so traumatized and horrified by what he's done that it literally makes him sick. And he basically just goes and like takes a nap for like 4 months. I'm like, where's the creature? It like baffles me that he had no concern for like where the creature went, not being a parent, you know, like just setting it free to go like live in the woods, I guess. I don't know what it's been doing. We haven't heard from the monster like in many chapters. And I will chill with the spoilers now because there's a bit more that's happened, but I don't want to like just give you a plot synopsis. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. And it's just got like the perfect like spooky, eerie, gothic, like classic vintage, but like it's very digestible. I think if you are wanting to try a classic, this is a great place to start. And don't be afraid to leverage resources online to like help you understand the book. Like I think there's no shame in that. I did that at the beginning to try to like figure out what was going on. And they're there for a reason. And, you know, reading is supposed to be enjoyable, and whatever makes reading more enjoyable for you, I think is worth doing. I could probably sit here and talk for like another 30 minutes about it, but I do want to go to bed. It's like 10:45. So I'm going to go take off my makeup, brush my teeth, get in bed, and then we'll just see how much more I can read tonight. And I will update you on where I'm at in the morning. But this was super fun getting to read some of Frankenstein with you guys tonight. I actually have a workout class in the morning at 6:30, which is so early, but whatever. I need to get to bed, but I will see you in the morning. It is 6:22. So I'm going to go to my 6:30 class. But I made it on time. I've been listening to Frankenstein this morning, and we're hearing from the creature from the monster now in part 2, hearing from him directly. I feel like in so many portrayals of Frankenstein, you don't see the monster talking. And I knew he spoke, but it's really interesting to hear like what he has to say. So he's basically like telling his story to Victor now, which is very heartbreaking because obviously Victor abandoned him. So we're going to put a pause on that though. I'm going to go do my 25th Pilates class. I'm so excited. Out of Body Rock. I had a successful 25th class. I'm gonna head back home. I might just listen to some music on the way home. I feel like if I put on Frankenstein, it's gonna kind of mellow me out a little bit, and I just want to keep the like energy up. And then once I get back home, I'll probably switch back over and listen to some more of Frankenstein. I'm definitely glad that I was like immersive reading the first half of the book, but I do feel like now that I'm kind of like into it and I know the characters and I know the writing, it's easier to switch to only listening and just listening to the audiobook while I do some chores around the house this morning. I may just sit and read for a little bit on the balcony too. It's only 7:30 right now, so I may go home, shower, and then like read for 30 minutes outside. We'll see. I don't know. Productive work day. As you saw this morning, I was reading on my Kindle out on the balcony for a little bit, and then I had to get ready for the day. I was listening to the audiobook, and then while I was just doing some like mindless kind of work, I was listening to it a little bit more. I read a little bit on my lunch break, just like trying to squeeze in all the reading throughout the day. Now it's 4:30 and I've just wrapped up with my work day, and I was able to finish the book up a little bit earlier today. I have my shirt on that says Built Different. I think it's so fun. I love it. But yeah, I'm super excited. I want to show you like everything I've done because I've set up this like cute little scavenger hunt surprise thing. I feel like I kind of want to keep my thoughts a little bit more high level. I know last night I was like really deep diving. I thought I would just read my review to you instead of sitting here yapping, because I have like 15 minutes to like set up this whole surprise thing and also give you all of my thoughts. And knowing me, I will sit here for 30 minutes and accidentally go on and on about the book. This is my high level review. I said, it's so much more than the mad scientist story it's often marketed as. Beneath the gothic atmosphere is something deeply human. It's about our need to understand ourselves and to be known and loved in return. Victor's downfall feels inevitable, given his reckless ambition. But it's the creature who lingers with me. His desire to be loved, to prove himself worthy through knowledge and kindness, was so heartbreakingly human. I understood his rage and appreciated how he quickly asserts his agency and refuses to be a slave. Even when he's wrong, you can still see the pain behind his why. The gender commentary also stood out to me. Victor's decision to create life without women feels like both a warning against playing God and a critique of masculine hubris. Shelley asks what happens when creation is stripped of feminine empathy, and the answer: disaster. The creation was the first sin, but the abandonment that followed was truly monstrous. For a novel first written over 200 years ago, it still feels unsettlingly relevant. It's both an eerie parable and a mirror, showing us how easily we can become the monsters we fear. There's a ton to talk about and unpack, but I really love the writing. I was listening to a podcast about it, and it's like technically of the Romantic era, which is a lot about not necessarily romance like we think of romance as a genre in modern day, but the Romantic era. It came after the like industrialization boom, kind of came after that as a bit of a response, like putting more of an emphasis back on like humanity and feeling and emotion. And so that's what this book does. You think it's going to be horror, and it is horror. But like I said in my review, it's really a story of humanity, which is what makes it more romantic, despite it being extremely sad. Definitely a bit of a parable, like a cautionary tale. And I just really enjoyed it. So if you never read it in school, I'd say definitely give it a chance. For now, I'm going to set up the whole like surprise thing, and I'll show you how it ends up looking. Okay, I just finished setting up, and Anders is going to be home in like 5 minutes. So I'm going to show you the little surprise. Okay, so he walks into the apartment and he sees this on the counter. So he may see this pail and read that first. Ideally, he reads these first. So this says, "This pail is but a humble host, a bearer of secrets, not of gold. Its worth lies not in what it holds, but in the path its message unfolds." So I'm just trying to tell him that there's nothing in here and that these are just like clue markers. His first clue says, "When shadows fall and night draws near, the creature's tail will soon appear. To find what's next, don't overthink. Go seek the room where bookworms blink." Oh, I need to go to the office, the library. And he'll see this table with this candle and the Frankenstein book and the clue marker. And then this one says, "In pages old, a monster's born, a patchwork soul in stormy morn. Thy dress tonight must pass the test, so seek thy clue where dreamers rest." So he'll be like, oh, I need to go to the bedroom. And then when he comes into the bedroom, hopefully he'll see his clue marker. So this one says, "With threads that jest and humor sly, thy garb is found, now step outside. The final treat awaits thy view. Come to the balcony for one last clue." And then here's his outfit I laid out for him. These are my favorite pants. He doesn't like wearing them, but they're my favorite because they're sexy. They're from Madewell. The look, just comfy, cozy. The walking pad in the back of these mirror pictures always annoys me, but anyway. Okay, so yeah, then based on that clue, he'll come to the balcony, and then he'll get his last clue from me. It says, "The hour is nigh, let us now depart. Our seats await us at Midtown Art. Adorn thy threads of haunted design. We seek the tale of Frankenstein." I'm super excited. So I'm gonna wait out here on the balcony for him, and then I have these like drinks that I put a little bit of green food dye in. I made little Moscow mules, so I'm gonna call them monster mules, and I'll have those. And I'm really excited. So I guess we're just waiting. This is so anticlimactic for me. Like, I did all this fun. I told him to vlog it though, so I can see his reaction.
Oh, I love the shirt.
Hello!
Oh.
Here's your last clue. Can you read it out loud?
"Adorn thy threads of haunted design. We seek the tale of Frankenstein." Oh, it's so exciting.
I told Anders all about my 5-star review. It was very fun to read it over the past day. I'm really excited to go see the movie now. We've got our shirts on. What was your favorite part about the book? Why is it your favorite book?
Just the themes. It feels like so current, even though it's such an old book.
Yeah. What are you most like excited for, hopeful for with the movie? Like what would you really like? What are you like watching out for? I've heard that it's like pretty true to the book, or a lot more true to the book than other adaptations.
I think I'll be interested to see how they tell the story when it comes to like Frankenstein's monster, obviously. Trying to figure out what it is, like his like yearning to be human. I feel like that part of the book is like slow, but it's like maybe my favorite part of the book. How do you show that in a movie, I guess, without it being boring?
Good
That's
point.
where I get a little worried, where it's like that's hard to like portray maybe in a movie, but maybe they can do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't had time to like really place much expectation, I feel like,
Fair.
but I'm excited for the score, the costumes.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited for a lot of that stuff and just the cast. I haven't seen a Guillermo del Toro movie, I don't think, before, but I know he's very famous, very loved.
I must have seen something. I don't know his movies.
We'll look it up at dinner. We need to go though. Our reservation soon. So my Caesar salad is incoming, so
I got some coconut shrimp.
we wanted to give you our thoughts on the Frankenstein movie. It's the next day, and we've been just reflecting. I feel like when we both walked out of the theater, we both were like, okay, I'm gonna give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think I liked it a little more than it, or like, I think I'm a little more forgiving maybe in my review. Anders can be a little
Annoying.
No, he just like stands on business. For me, I'm like, but the actors worked really hard on it. Like, and they did a really good job. I'm just more of that type. Let's start off. What did you like?
I mean, the acting was good. I liked Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein's monster. I liked the score, if you will. I liked some of the changes from the book.
There were
We won't
quite a
give
few.
anything away.
Yeah, I don't want to give spoilers, but it was a little bit different. Like most of the changes that they made, though, were in an effort to make the movie more cinematic, exciting as a movie, make it more interesting. I feel like a lot of the changes they made too made Victor Frankenstein a little bit more morally gray. Like
Yeah.
I think in the book, you just don't have much sympathy for his situation, but I think the changes they made in the movie, a lot of it makes you like understand
Where he's coming from.
a little
lot
bit better. And so I like that in a sense, but I also, it did like change things. And I like the message better when it's like only monsters play God, period. Like that, I feel like that is the message of the book. Whereas I think with the movie, it's a little bit more about like what it means to be human. And I think that's a really beautiful message too.
I think I liked the way that they told the story. I think kind of the monster, there were good bits like exploring the humanity of the monster, but the monster felt like a different role than what was in the book.
He was also like a little more troubled, but at the same time, they made him less bad.
Yeah, in the movie, it kind of felt like it was like all the bad things were happening to the monster.
And he didn't even do anything bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I just felt like too in the movie, some of the dialogue, especially towards the end, was a little bit like heavy-handed with like trying to tell us what to think or like tell us the themes. And I want to be like trusted as a viewer, and like same with books. I know people talk about this with reading. I want to feel like the director is trusting the audience to come to our own conclusions kind of. And I felt like there was a bit of dialogue towards the end that was like telling us what to think. And that was my like main gripe. Yeah, I'd say like the first 2/3 of the movie, like I really didn't have any issues at all. It was just towards the end, I felt like because of some of the changes that were made, like it ultimately had to be that the ending was what it was. But overall, I thought it was stunning visually.
Yeah, it was really good. Just a lot of changes from the book, which you would expect. If it was like a pure retelling though, it would have been tough to like pull that off.
Yeah. One thing that I really loved about it too is I saw headlines that Guillermo del Toro refused to use like any AI, and because humanity is such a central part to the Frankenstein story, and I do feel like that was carried through in the movie. That's what I feel like the movie was mostly about, was like what it means to be human. It was like a movie made by humans for humans, was like how he was talking about it. And I really, really respect that and love that, because I was watching different scenes and I wasn't thinking to myself like, is this an AI drone shot right now? And that was just really pleasant, and I really enjoyed that, and I really respect that decision. So it gets like extra stars and points for me on that as well. Everyone should go see it in theaters if you have a chance, or definitely watch it on Netflix when it comes out, because it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Agreed. But read the book.
Read the book.